Hey there, we made it to another Friday, so you guys should know the drill. Today we are going to design our DIY bucket, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. We've used chicken wire mechanics in the past, but I recently saw a different way to do it on the internet and I wanted to give it a try. So if you've designed with me in the past, you know that I would typically take a slightly wider piece of chicken wire than this, fold it over with the cut ends to the middle, and then roll it like a burrito to make sort of a ball. I saw some on the internet that cut the piece a little bit smaller so that it just covered over the edges of the opening to the vase. Could probably be maybe even like an inch more at maximum. But then what they did is they just went back and forth like so. So you have about 3 layers, and then after that, they folded it down and tucked it in. I wanted to give it a try today to see how well it holds up, or if I like my burrito method better. So once it's in there, you can see that it's rounded on the top. I'm just going to tuck some of the pieces down underneath so there's space in between those layers. There we go. And it's not all even. That'll give a couple of points of contact for each of the stems, and then that way hopefully there'll be enough chicken wire to get them to stand up straight. So we included some nice line flowers in this week's bucket. So we're going to do something a little bit more wild than we normally do, maybe a little bit more movement. And we still have hydrangea. We always put hydrangea in the bucket. So this week we have this awesome emerald green hydrangea. We went for super saturation with the colors this week. So as you know, when you're working with the chicken wire, you want to make sure you get all of these little nubs off of your stems when you cut them. That is going to help you out if you need to move anything around. You don't have to worry about pulling the chicken wire out when you're readjusting. You're going to cut it, your hydrangea, at an angle. You don't want to cut it on one of those knobs either. It drinks up better if you cut in between them. And then we're going to place it in the center but tipped out, like so. We're just going to cover the top of our container at this point. So we'll go like that, trim off these little knobs, measure it to the bottom, and tuck it in. I'm going to readjust this one so I get a little more coverage. There we go. Okay, we can still see into the pot, and that is okay. We also have these miniature green hydrangea, and I'm going to put these in so they just float on top of the other hydrangea, kind of fill in those spaces. You don't need to tuck them all the way down in there because we'll do the greenery next, and that's going to fill in the spaces in between. I'm going to take some of these leaves off because they're not really going the direction that I want. We should have 3 of these in the bucket this week. Okay, then we have some Cocculus. We've worked with the Cocculus before. I love it because it has a nice big broad leaf. And you can use it in several placements, so you get a lot of bang for your buck. So what you're going to do is cut it right above one of these connection points so that you have a relatively finished looking end. And then you're going to strip any of the bottom leaves off that might get in the way of the chicken wire also. So you have a nice clean stem going in. We're going to go right in those gaps in between our hydrangea. And we're going to let those leaves sit on top a little bit. So going for a little bit more spread, a little bit more movement. It's not going to be a tight ball. You should have 3 of these. If you get a really long piece and you can separate it into more than 2 placements, go for it. But typically we can always count on 2 placements from each piece of Cocculus. There we go, one to the front. And go one to the side here. And you can see we're kind of filling it in now, so there aren't any gaps left where you can see into the container. With the chicken wire, you can leave some spaces open, which is nice. And not have to worry about covering everything with the hydrangea. So the hydrangea can sit out a little bit so you can see it. See here, I'm going here. Again, I'm lifting that up a little bit so we have lots of movement. There we go. All right, once we have pretty good coverage and all of that is in, we can start in with some of our flowers. This week we have some hopping spray roses. So these, sometimes they're very bushy, sometimes they're only a few blooms on each one. You can take off any of these ones at the base here that are too low on the stem. You can leave all of the rest of them on there. You can use them as a bunch. Again, we're going to cut so we've measured to this bottom third of our vase. We're going to come in either in between or on top of the hydrangea. Again, with this one, you make your decision here. It's all pretty clustered nicely at the top, but if you want to edit this one off, you can. 1, 2, and 3. I've got a little broken one. I'll take that off. There. I'm just going to do that in a little bit of a triangle so you see those colors all the way through. Now we're going to get into our roses. So we have these awesome Xpression roses, hot Xpression, and you just want to give them a little bit of a blow and take any damaged petals off the sides and give them a little bit of a roll. And that's going to get those petals opening a lot nicer for you. And then when we place it in the arrangement, again, you're going to trim any of these knobs or nubs off the side, any thorns, you want to get those off so the stem is as clean as possible going into your arrangement. And you want to place them so that they float above the hydrangea. We don't want to press them in too far or it'll keep them from opening fully. So we have 3 of these. There we go. Give it a nice little roll. Okay, and we're going to let it float. You don't want to push it all the way in. Yeah, so for this, you're definitely going to want to leave your stems long. You can always take a little more off if it's not in the place that you want it to be, but you can't really add any back on. So it's important as you're going to measure to where you want your blooms to go, but then also leave your stems on the long side. And then you can always take them out, cut them down if you need to. Next, we have these really excellent Xpression roses. These are dark Xpression. So these are kind of a pretty corally color. And again, we're going to just roll them after we've taken any of the damaged outside petals off. And they will continue to open and hold their bloom. They're really great rose to use. And we have about 5 of them in the bucket. So I'm going to sink one into the center. There we go. And then the other ones I'll use out. These Scabiosa are getting in the way. Kind of put one out in front of the other ones. We're going to create some texture here. We don't want everything to be at the same level or it gets very boring and round. Here, out on top a little. That. And we have one more. All right, 1, 2, 3, so maybe one over here. Makes sense. Maybe I'm going to move this one out and up a little. Or maybe I'll go this way. I lied. Put that there. Okay. We're just going to adjust as we go, keep it moving around. So right now we have a nice palette of hot pink, coral, and lime green, super juicy. And we're going to add some pops of orange. And this week we have some Snapdragons in the mix because they came in this super lovely kind of golden orange color, like a tangerine maybe. So we thought it would be great to include. And these, you can really let them kind of wing out, give some look to your arrangement. And concentrate them together in little groupings. That's always nice. 2, 3, and there'll be 5 in the bucket. here. Okay, I'm gonna get one sort of more up in the middle here. We can adjust as we go. So see this guy, so I'm gonna move him over here. Oops, trim a little bit. The chicken wire can make it difficult sometimes, but you want to keep in mind that you're sort of trying to design this radially. So you want to put pieces into the vase coming out from the direction of the center. Like you don't want to put one in at the middle and have it coming forward, or at the back and have it coming forward. All right. And then we have all of our fun boingy flowers. So we're going to bring this really lovely berry color Scabiosa into the mix. And they'll come with a little straw on the neck. You can take that off or you can leave it on. If you're using them deeper in the arrangement, you can certainly leave it on because you won't see it. But you want to make sure you cover your mechanics. So if you are going to have them sticking out from your arrangement, you want to make sure that you take these guys off. And here you can get really as wild as you want, taking your cues from your Snapdragons. Bringing them out to the level of the tops of the snaps would be really nice. Always having a couple of them that are tucked in a little bit and a couple of them that are coming out more. And you'll have 5 of these. And just work with the natural shape of their neck. Some can go this way or that way. Totally fine. Just want them to sort of hover on top. And give this a spin. And you'll notice we have a little bit of space in the middle here that we need to fill in. We have our anemone. We have a really lovely grape anemone that we're using here. Anemone, sorry. Give that a cut on the angle. And with these, you have to be super careful because their stems are hollow and they will split. So going into the chicken wire, you want to find a spot and give it a twist. Make sure you have a spot secured before you push it, or it's going to make that stem explode. So these can be super fun too. We can have them kind of winging out to the side. Here. Or you keep them sort of centrally placed. I'm going to tuck this guy in the middle, again, just to have a little bit of that color in the center of my arrangement. And then my other ones I'll have sticking out a little bit more. You just want to make sure as you go that your stems are in the vase. Again, we're leaving the stems nice and long so they can really float, hover in the arrangement. Forward a little bit, go right in between those roses. See it? And the last things that we have in our bucket are these pretty kind of like tangerine color orange ranunculus that match the Snapdragons really nicely. So we're going to use those to bring all the colors together. Now, if you have these little pieces on the side and they're not long enough to use in the arrangement, you can just leave those on. A little bit. Oops. Use it, let it stick. Now this one has a long piece, so we're going to cut that off. And we can use that in this arrangement also. You can blow on these a little bit too and get them to open up a little bit. And now we have a nice kind of wildflower arrangement with lots of movement, lots of long stems. And smooth everything around and replace them as you go. This one Snapdragon is not going where I want it to, so I'm going to stick that back in here. All right. And then after you've made all of your final adjustments, make sure your water is topped off in your vase. Move it to where it's going to be displayed, and you're good to go. Lots of these delicious saturated colors, long stems, and pretty textures in our arrangement this week. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll get back to you with answers. I have to say, after doing this arrangement, I like my method of chicken wire better than this one. It's a little bit easier, but to work with, I think. But it's interesting to give a different way a try, so it's always good to try new ways of doing things. This one. There we go. Cool. Now fill in the center, and we're good to go. All right.